day. Welcome to the Tudor gang. We was all very powerful once, but now we've all got our backs to the wall, so to speak. Now I know what you're thinking. Look at that fat bastard. But I was a slim, good-looking young fellow once. Oh yes I was, when I became king. Now I've been played by a lot of famous actors, but I think many of them was a bit too poncy to play me. So my favourite is Ray Winston, because Ray's great at playing vicious criminal geezers. Thing is, I was actually a bit of a murdering bastard myself back in my day. Do you know, they say I had about 57,000 people murdered? So I hope you'll excuse Aubrey the Axeman here. Back in the 1500s he got so used to swinging an axe to kill my enemies, he has to get out of his picture frame occasionally, just to limber up a bit. A lesson for you all here: if you're gonna murder one person, better to murder thousands. If you murder one person, you get your head cut off, what it did in my day. But if you murder 57,000, then you're a great man, cause, as Machiavelli himself once said, it's better to be feared than loved.
Well that bastard certain lis scared the shit out of me. And they blame me for no malheur. Maybe it was his dick that didn't work. Yes, I came from France, which is why I have the French accent, mais Henry thought it was sexy.
Anyway, never mind Anne. Yeah, she came over from France and I thought she was a bit tasty when I met her. But we soon had our problems. She just couldn't bear me a son. Obviously it was her fault rather than mine. Oi, mate, you strolling past in the present. I'm getting to the interesting bit in a minute. So, let me introduce you to the bloke what got me the divorce from Catherine. What a bloody to-do that was. His nibs the Pope got involved in a big way, because he thought he was head of the church, you see. At first, I relied on Cardinal Wolsey, but he was about as much use as a chocolate teapot, so of course I had him sentenced to death.
Yes, he did, the bastard. But I died before his axeman could get to me.
But then along comes this bloke, Thomas Cromwell. Well, he was a bit of a ruffian like myself. He came from Putney, he did, and his old man ran a pub down that way. All right, Thomas, you take it from here. Watch out, because he spoke a bit posh after he'd made it.
I thank thee, your grace. Well, as the king said, I used to be a bit of a ruffian, and a lot of the other fellows around Henry looked down on me because they knew my father just ran a pub in Putney. But I went to Italy to fight and to better myself, and learned to speak Italian there, you see. When I went to court, I started speaking Italian like this. Tutti voi snob potete andarvene a fanculo per quanto mi riguarda. This gentleman says it better.
Tutti voi snob potete andarvene a fanculo per quanto mi riguarda.
By the way, that's a bit rude and means all you posh blokes can fuck off as far as I'm concerned. Well, the first little job was to sort out Henry's divorce for him. Simple, really. I just got him to claim he was head of the church instead of the Pope, and just like that, he was free to marry Anne Boleyn.
I must interrupt this common scoundrel here. As Sir Thomas More, I was the king's good servant, but God's first. A man for all seasons, as Hollywood later referred to me. Anyway, I would not permit Henry's divorce from Catherine. But Henry still had my head cut off. Extreme violence always works, doesn't it? So now you know why I look so miserable in this portrait. But I'll let Cromwell continue with his lies.
But like Catherine of Aragon, she just couldn't produce a male heir. All her fault again, you see. So Henry just fancied some other woman called Jane Seymour. I faked up some evidence that Anne was shagging around, and so Henry just had her murdered. We called it beheading in our day. Henry was absolutely distraught for a couple of days. Then he got over it and got on with business. Poor old Jane finally gave him a son, but she died in childbirth, and I think Henry had a few people murdered for that as well. Later on, Henry decided to steal all the stuff in the monasteries. Lots and lots of monks were murdered, of course. It actually has an official name, the Dissolution of the Monasteries. It's got quite a nice ring to it, and it doesn't really sound so bad when you say it like that, does it? Anyway, as I...
All right, Thomas, that's enough of that. Trouble with Thomas was he got a bit too big for his boots, you see, when he tried to sort me out with a new wife. It was this Anne of Cleves. When he got that Hans Holbein to paint a picture of her that disguised her enormous nose. If we'd have had Tinder and all that social medium stuff back then, I could have just swiped left. So instead, I just had old Thomas murdered. Teach him to set me up with a munter.
That fat bastard's got a nerve. Just look at the state of him. I think my knows it very nice.
Well, as I said, I wasn't at all interested in Anne of Cleves, which was when I met this young girl, Catherine Howard. Very tasty she was too. Although, given my reputation, I was surprised she wanted to risk it. Hang on, there goes that bloke again from earlier. He's a rude sod. After all, I might have been an homicidal maniac, but I was Henry VIII. So, as I was saying, Catherine became victim number 5, wife number 5. Trouble was, I was eating and drinking so much by then that I became the foul bastard you're all so familiar with. So she started to look around, you see.
My God, he was a fat, disgusting pig. How could anyone possibly fancy him? But then I met this lovely chap called Thomas Culpeper, and I must say he certainly had what a young woman needed. If you know what I mean.
Eventually, I found out Catherine was shagging this Thomas Culpeper bloke, and also another geezer called Francis Derriam. She said,
Derriam used me in such sort as a man doth use his wife, many and sundry times.
those are the sort of fancy words we used in them days. It just meant he was regularly given a one. So, of course, I had to have the lot of them beheaded. Well, you would, wouldn't you? Anyway, after that, I just shacked up with Catherine Parr, and the rest, as they say, is history. Good day to you all.